You don't belong in here. Step outside, before I call security. Elijah Turner didn't flinch. His hand remained on the folder tucked beneath his arm, his eyes scanning the courtroom that smelled like polished wood and quiet judgments. Around him, suits shuffled, clerks whispered. No one looked directly at him. He wore no badge, no name tag, just a soft blue shirt beneath a faded gray blazer. The judge hadn't even started the hearing, yet already Elijah had been marked. You heard me, the court guard hissed louder, drawing glances now. Don't make me repeat myself. Elijah looked up, steady. Don't make me call your boss. Tung nuoi trong phong quay lai. En hung kong phi vi tiang quat, ma vi ho vua nan ra on mat Elijah kong Louis Buick. He stepped back without protest as the guard approached. His worn shoes slid quietly across the marble. One misstep, and his elbow clipped a wooden bench, sharp pain, but he didn't react. The guard knocked the folder from under his arm. Papers spilled. One page caught the judge's seal. A clerk leaned forward, eyes narrowing. That looks like, she began, but stopped. Throw it away, the judge ordered, without looking. I won't let this courtroom be interrupted by, whatever this is. The audience murmured. A woman with a phone began recording. No one helped Elijah gather his things. His commendation certificate slid under the bench. He reached for it. His hand trembled. And someone was watching. 10 minutes later, just as the hearing resumed, the courtroom doors creaked open again. Elijah entered, this time flanked by two silent men in suits. He walked calmly to the front row. Judge Graham's gavel halted midair. You were told to leave. Elijah opened his folder again. Pulled out a printed letter bearing the Department of Justice seal. Then another, a legal framework titled Standards of Federal Court Conduct, with a signature at the bottom. Graham leaned forward, reading. His face drained. The name on the page? Elijah Turner. The man he just humiliated, had written the very code of conduct he claimed to enforce. Naomi, the young black clerk, rose slowly. She turned to Graham, and with trembling clarity, announced. You're out of order, Your Honor. Silence. Not a tense silence, a surrendering one. No one moved as Elijah stepped forward. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't gloat. He simply placed the third and final document on the judge's bench, a formal request for internal review. The same guard who had shoved him earlier now stared at the floor. Graham looked up, ready to speak. But Elijah beat him to it. I didn't come for revenge. His voice was calm. I came to remind this room what law is supposed to feel like. Then he turned. And extended his hand to Naomi. The young woman, stunned, walked beside him as they exited through the courtroom's main doors. Behind them, the judge sat frozen. Outside the courtroom, a reporter's camera light blinked. Elijah paused only briefly. Graham had followed them out, his robe now open, unsure whether to speak. I didn't know, he muttered. Elijah didn't stop walking. But he placed the internal review request gently into the judge's hand. And then, looking past him, he said. I'm not here for your apology. I'm here so the next black clerk doesn't have to ask permission to be seen. Naomi opened the heavy front door. And as Elijah stepped into the sunlight, no one clapped. No one cheered. But the silence was no longer suffocating. It was, listening. Elijah Turner didn't need applause. His strength wasn't in volume, but in clarity. Some justice doesn't arrive in shouts or verdicts, but in a quiet man refusing to disappear. And sometimes, the most powerful act is not returning to punish, but to protect those coming after. If this story made you pause, reflect, or breathe a little deeper, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to hear more stories where silence speaks louder than power.